Okay, here is question 1. We've got solve for W with a algebra equation. Now, when you're looking at solving anything in this particular standard, there are really only two different methods for solving that we look at this level. The first type is the linear type. Linear means you've got the variable or the letter as a single dimension, so you've just got x. So it could be something like 3x plus 2 equals 9, and you're trying to solve to find x. In those particular solving situations, you would look at eliminating all the numbers from around x to get x by itself, and then finding the value of x. The other type of situation we would get is a quadratic, which is where you've got two-dimensional x's, like x squared, or two-dimensional letters. In those situations, you will be solving a quadratic, and a quadratic is solved by getting all the terms on one side of the equation and making it equal to 0, and then factorizing. So in this particular case, we're looking at a quadratic because we've got a w squared, a w, and a number. So we want to get all the terms on one side of the equation and simplify it so that we can factorize it. So in this case, let's get the terms on the right-hand side to the left-hand side, because that will give me a positive w squared, which is always a good thing. Now to do that, I can't just move those terms over. I have to be careful how I do this. And the way to think of it is that you are eliminating the terms from the right-hand side. So if I've got my 7w squared, I want to eliminate that from the right-hand side. I can do that by subtracting 7w squared. Now because 7w squared minus 7w squared is 0, that means we don't need that on this side anymore, because 0 plus anything will just be the same. So if I do it on one side though, I have to do it on the other side as well. That's the rule in algebra. One side, you have to do the same on the other side. So now I've got this 10w squared minus 7w squared on the left-hand side. So that would be 3w squared. So let's write that out. 3w squared plus 5w. So I've still got the 5w, so I'm just writing all the remaining terms for the moment. 12w plus 20. And then I'll look at the next term that I want to eliminate. So now let's eliminate the 12w next. If I subtract 12w from the 12w, that would make 0. So again, we would get rid of it from the right-hand side, and it'll be going now to the left-hand side as a subtract. So we've got 3w squared, and plus 5w minus 12w would make minus 7w. And then from this side, we've eliminated it, so we've just got positive 20 left. So the plus 20 just becomes a positive 20. Now we need to eliminate that 20 from the right-hand side, so we subtract 20 again on both sides. Alright, so on the right-hand side, that will become 0 because there's nothing left. And on the left-hand side, we've got 3w squared minus 7w minus 20. So remember, we can only collect like terms, so that's why we've now got three different terms here. They can't be collected together because they are not like. We've got a w squared, a w, and a number. So we have simplified that completely now. Now we can look at, we've got a quadratic on the left-hand side and equal to 0 on the right-hand side. So the next step would be to factorize our quadratic into two brackets. Okay, so you should hopefully have had a lot of practice by now with factorizing. In this particular instance, we have a number in front of the w squared. That's called the coefficient. It is not 1, and therefore it's slightly more complicated to factorize this one, but we'll use the guess and check method in any case, because we've got 3, which is a prime number, so it only has one combination, a 3 and a 1. So I've got 3w and 1w. Are the only two things I can put in to multiply to make 3w squared. But then I need to think of the next two numbers in each bracket needs to multiply to make negative 20. And there's a few options for that, but I'll start with an obvious one of 5 and 4. One of them will have to be negative because of the negative 20, but I'll start by just finding a combination that works first. So if I look at, let's just try for now 4 and w. Then if I think about what am I going to have to do here, I'm going to do a 3w times the 5 would give me 15w, and a 4 times w would give me 4w, and I want those two things to add to make negative 7. Now you can see clearly there's no ways of combining 4w and 15w to make negative 7. So my numbers is not correct. So let's try a different way around. I'm just going to swap them. In fact, I'm going to do the numbers the other way around to see if that works. And this is the guess and check method. So now let's do 5 on the left one and 4 on the right one. So now if I was to multiply 3w by 4, I would have 12w. And if I was to multiply 5 times w, I would have 5w. Okay, check, is there a way of making negative 7 out of those? Yes, there is. If the 12 is negative, then I would have negative 12 plus 5w would be negative 7w. So that is in fact the right numbers. But to get negative 12, 3w times 4 is going to have to be a negative 4 over here. So, and that one should be positive. So I have solved my quadratic factorizing there by guess and check. Okay, so there we go. That's what the factorized form would look like. Now, when you've gotten to this stage, the last step is to find your w. In this case, remember that the point of factorizing is that we've got two things multiplied together equal to 0. Now, to get anything to be equal to 0 when you multiply it, one of the things has to be 0. Like if you have 3 times 0, that would be 0. So one of these two brackets needs to be 0 for the answer to be 0. So that means we look at either 3w plus 5 is either 0, or the w minus 4 must be 0. So one of those two brackets needs to be 0. Looking at the 3w plus 5 first, we'll solve that using our steps. We would subtract 5 from both sides to get rid of the 5. Okay, so that would be 3w equals negative 5. And then to get rid of the 3 in front of w, I would divide both sides by 3. That would give me w is equal to negative 5 over 3. Just squeezed it in there. For w minus 4, that's a simple one. If you just think of it as you're adding 4 on both sides to get rid of the 4, then we've got w equals to 4 is the answer for that one. So our answers are w is equal to negative 5 over 3, or w is equal to 4. And those are our two answers for solving for w. Thanks for watching. This video was just one of the questions that I do in my online workshops for the NCEA exams. So if you would like to find out more about the workshops and see more of these kinds of questions solved, have a look in the description and you will find a link to the videos. Cheers!